Wow, this is hot.
Despite the fact that people have been living on Earth for a very, very long time, there are still plenty of things about the planet that we don't fully understand or even appreciate. Mainly that there are spots and places in the world that most would say are impossible to be made, and yet they do indeed exist, and they are wondrous places. And you would be surprised just how many of these places are actually around. So given that, allow us to show you 7 scientifically impossible places that actually exist. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 7. Mobile Cave. The atmosphere of Earth is comprised of many different things, but with the exception of the oceans and the planet, just about everyone in the world lives and breathes off of this same atmosphere. This exception to the rule, though, is Mobile Cave in Romania. The particular cave was sealed away from the rest of the world for over 5 million years. And due to this, the atmosphere is not anything like the rest of the world. For example, the oxygen in the atmosphere is 1/3 to half less than the base atmosphere of the planet, while also having exponentially more carbon dioxide. It also has traces of sulfur, methane, and more. So due to its toxicity, you'd think that nothing can live there. But you would be wrong. There are over 48 species of creature living in the cave, including many who don't exist anywhere else in the world. They have somehow adapted themselves to surviving in a sulfuric place while also finding ways to eat via foam that is grown on stones in the cave. But it gets even more incredible. A new snail that was found in the cave apparently has been living there for 2 million years. And that just goes to show that even in the most toxic of areas where things shouldn't exist, life finds a way. Number 6. The Boiling River. There was an explorer named Andres Russo who heard of a very interesting legend about a river and then sought it out. He found it, and in the process found a river in the Amazon rainforest that is quite literally boiling. Called the Shanay Tempishka, it has been known to the native people of Peru who live in the forest near it for quite some time. The temperature of the water is a scorching 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which means that just about anything alive that goes into the river would be boiled alive. Even the mud that is made from this water is so hot to touch it can cause third-degree burns. This part of the Amazon River is 4 miles in length, so it's not a small spot of boiling water. This river is considered the only boiling river in the world today, and there is no definitive answer as to why the river is this way. Some think the river is somehow attached to a geothermal vent, which exhumes a lot of heat, and thus makes it boil to such a degree. There's also a thought that the boiling water comes from somewhere else and is pooled into the river, but neither has been proven, and the geothermal vent theory has been questioned due to the fact that the nearest volcano is 400 miles away from the river. The local people use parts of the river in their everyday lives, including boiling food or doing laundry. There are even healing centers that use the water for their practices. Number 5. Gruner See. In Austria, there is a lake called Gruner See, also known as Green Lake, that takes the concept of rising and falling waters of the area to a different extreme. Mainly, during the summer, fall, and winter, the lake stands at a very basic level and allows people to enjoy the park that surrounds it. However, in the spring, the waters of the lake rise so much that the park is quite literally drowned by the waters. To put this in more context, during the off-season, the depth of the lake goes down to a max of 7 feet. But when the spring comes, the depths of the lakes rise so much that its depth goes down to 39 feet. It almost doubles in length size from 150 meters wide to 250 meters wide. This happens because this part of Austria is near the Hausschwab Mountains, and these mountains are somewhat infamous for having tons of snow built up on them over the winter. Thus, when the spring arrives and all the snow melts and heads right towards the lake, it increases its base levels by a significant amount. Number 4. The Petrifying Well. There are many stories in history and mythology about people or objects being petrified or being turned into stone. But in Knaresborough, North Yorkshire, there is a place that honestly does this for real. It is known as the Petrifying Well, and it has been turning things to stone ever since it was discovered many years ago, having been an attraction since 1630 in England. Not surprisingly, this place once had a very superstitious nature about it, due in large part to the fact that this was well next to a cliff face, one that appeared to have the face of a skeletal human on it. However, once scientists were able to test the waters of the well, they found out something very interesting. Simply that the water was high in mineral content. So by leaving various objects in the well, which many have done over time, the water will slowly turn them into stone. This process has been likened to how stalactites are made. Technically speaking, there are more than one petrifying well in the world. It should also be noted that if you touch the water yourself, your skin will not get a stone spot. The process again is not instantaneous. Number 3. Mariana Trench. The oceans remain one of the biggest mysteries that humanity hasn't solved, but without a doubt, the biggest mystery within that mystery is that of the Mariana Trench. Located over 36,000 feet below sea level, which makes it deeper than Mount Everest is tall. This place is one of, if not the, deepest part of the ocean that we know about, even though we still know so little. That's because the deeper you go into the ocean, the more pressure that is exerted on the creatures or objects that go down that far. So much so that if a human were to somehow on their own go beyond 2,000 feet below sea level, they'd slowly be crushed by the ocean's pressure. It's been noted that the pressure at the Mariana Trench is over 15,000 pounds per square inch. Despite being in an area with no sunlight and tons of water pressure, there's a thriving ecosystem that lives down in the Mariana Trench. In fact, through the 4 people that managed to get to the trench via submersibles, we've only gotten a brief look at that life. There are creatures large and small in there, and they seem incredibly comfortable in their environment. But how are they able to do that? We honestly don't know, and that's why it is so surprising that they're able to do it. It's baffling, and that's why many are trying to study the trench even more. Number 2, the double tree of Casorzo. In Italy, in the place of Piedmont, there is a tree that is truly unlike most trees on Earth, because at first glance, you would believe that it is one rather exotically shaped tree, but rather, it's 2 trees in one. For this tree is both a cherry tree and a mulberry tree. Now to be clear, there are trees and other plants out there that have done similar things. This is known as a parasitic growth, where they latch on to another fully healthy being and grow alongside them. However, the double tree of Casorzo is rather unique because of its size. These are 2 trees that are growing on top of each other and expanding their branches to impressive lengths. Due to this, there is no current explanation for how it happened. Most times that a double tree occurs, they're pretty small and they don't live very long, yet this one has lasted many years and is an impressive size in regards to both trees and their massive branches. Number 1. Beacon of Maracaibo. In Venezuela, there is lightning that virtually never stops. This is known as the Beacon of Maracaibo. Specifically, this happens every night in western Venezuela over the Catatumbo River. Starting at around 7 p.m., lightning will start to strike the river, and it won't stop for the next 10 hours. The storm happens between 140 and 260 days of the year and can strike around 280 times per hour. What makes this phenomenon so special is that no one is really clear as to why the lightning is doing this so frequently and so unendingly. There have been many theories, including that there was uranium in the bedrock of the lake and it was causing the strikes, but others say that it's a unique weather pattern that is formed because of the mountains that surround the area. Now, neither theory has been definitively proven though. Many have taken pictures of the frequent and powerful lightning that covers the area, as they can be viewed around 250 miles away. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at the places of the world that are impossible and yet are very much real? Would you like to go and see some of these places for yourself? Which ones do you think are the most interesting of the set? Do you think that there are more impossible places out there just waiting to be found? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.